For those of you who are new here, I went on a 10-day trip to Namibia a few weeks ago. I was with my partner and we drove from the capital city, Windhoek, all the way to the northeast and northwest and back to Windhoek. We rented a 4x4 car, and when picking up the car, we were given a few conditions. One of them was not to drive after sunset and not before sunrise. This is because Namibia still has a lot of wild animals, and at night it's harder to spot them and you can easily run one over. Some places don't have street lights as well, so this is a fair point. One of the other conditions was not to drive at the Van Zyl Pass and Kaudum National Park. I'm sorry if I'm butchering some of these names, but I have to talk about them. Van Zyl Pass looks like this, and I've heard a lot of accidents happen here. I didn't care about these areas because we weren't going there anyway. The car was in a very good condition, and from the reviews online, Namibia has the best roads in Africa, and Windhoek really did prove this point. I hardly saw any potholes. I saw a lot of maintenance work as well, so I was very confident that everything was going to be fine. So we took off and started our journey. Now, when we were coming from Swakopmund to Solitaire, I'm not good with pronunciations, so bear with me. From Swakopmund, which is in the west coast of Namibia, to Solitaire, which is more inland, the landscape looks like you're on Mars, and the closer we were getting to Solitaire, the more mountainous it appeared to be. I thought, wow, the landscape is so beautiful, and I didn't think how this could be an issue later on. And I thought eventually we would drive past these mountains or hills, then we would reach our destination with no issues. It was midday as well, so very unlikely to face a lot of issues unless the car broke down. I think the thing I worried more about was the wild animals, because if you meet a carnivore and your car breaks down, that would be scary. You do see people and other cars on the way, but for the most part, you're on your own. As we kept driving, we could see that we were going deep into the mountains. I mean, we were following Google Maps, so we went wherever Google was directing us to go to. And of course, we took the shortest route. I was calm until I noticed we were going higher and higher on the mountains. We weren't that high, but it was not that big of a deal then. And on some of the higher parts in this area, they had barriers. Still dangerous, but I was more worried that we could encounter some carnivores. Thankfully, we didn't. Just a few antelopes like oryx. And those mountain roads, I noticed the signs referring to them as passes. And remember earlier when I spoke about the Van Zyl Pass? This was level 1 version of it. Eventually, we got to our hotel. It was in the middle of nowhere. We had a fantastic time there. And then the next day, it was time to return to Windhoek. And remember when I said this area was very mountainous, and I didn't have any doubts. I thought, okay, this area is closer to Windhoek, so maybe it's not gonna be crazy, the roads are gonna be good. Then 40 minutes into the drive, I could see that we had to go into the mountains again. This time we were driving around one of the higher mountains. First round, we thought, okay, it can't get worse than this. Then there was level 2. This is when I started to get scared. The road was getting smaller and smaller, and to make things worse, there were hardly any barriers here. I remember looking at the window and my legs just felt numb. We were on top of a mountain, one of those, I don't know how you'd say it, on a side, there's a road on the side of a mountain. And I was thinking, why was this area not part of the forbidden list by the car company? Because this was just wild. And every time I start to think about that situation, my legs just get numb. It was really scary. But then again, like, this wasn't like even the worst part of it. We got to level 3, and I mean, every time I think about this situation, like, I feel nervous. I feel exactly how I was feeling at that particular moment. So it was this area where the road was like this, like very steep. And then obviously we had to go upwards, and we had to do like a really like tight turn, like a full lock turn upwards. And as I said, like the road was getting smaller and smaller. So, oh God, I remember like as we were getting higher and higher to get close to the turn, you could feel not feel it, but you could hear the engine like struggling. And I knew that like if any car was gonna come in front of us or any kind of distraction, and if we rode back, and I'm talking about like a few inches back, because there were no barriers like like on the road. So if you rode back a few inches, that would have been it. And whilst we're getting closer to the turn, and I remember my partner being really like feeling a bit about it, and I was trying to get him to stay focused and not like look on the other side of the road, because the other side was a cliff. Like if I know, like if the car rode back and for some reason there was an accident, and if we survived, there's no way it would have come back like like how we are now. We would have lost at least like a limb or something, because it was crazy. But luckily, like the car kept going. My partner had to change the gears all the way to first gear. And in first gear, like again, the car was still struggling. But I don't know how it even happened, but it kept going. If you're thinking, why didn't you record it, mate? That was the last thing on my mind. And thankfully, like, we ended up getting to this higher area, like a flat kind of like, I don't know, it was flat, so you could actually like stay there, or like at least like maybe take a break. And I actually saw 2 other cars as well just there, and I knew they went through the same traumatic experience, because there's no way you can drive through that and not need a break. But like my partner didn't actually want a break at that point. But if I had to do that drive, I don't even know if I would have been able to get through that, because that was really scary. And if I did manage to, I definitely would have needed a break. But my partner was like, okay, I just want to get this over and done with, and let's go. And we also wasn't sure on like what was ahead of us, and we didn't want to waste any more time. So we kept going. After this, it was mainly downhill, and we're getting closer to Windhoek, according to Google, of course. And we thought we will not go around one of these passes again, because nothing can get worse than that. Then when Google was showing us 30 minutes to Windhoek, we saw another sign that said pass, and my anxiety just kicked in again. And we had to go through another mild version of what we just went through. I mean, this may be great for thrill seekers, but like I ain't one of them. When it comes to this, I'd rather have someone experience it for me and not me experiencing it. I still feel very anxious when talking about it. I would never take this route again. Next time when I visit Namibia, I will make sure to avoid any routes with passes in them. And this was the only disappointing thing about Namibia for me. I think they can at least put barriers in all of these passes. As a tourist, I didn't know that I would have to go through this. And I was very unprepared, even mentally. So like, this was too much. But anyway, thank you for watching and hearing my story. I hope I'll see you in the next video. Bye.